we are going to be starting seated today. If that doesn't work for you, or you're thinking, oh, like I did not want to start class like this, you don't need to. If laying down on your back feels like a better bet for today, then go ahead and do that. If you would prefer to sit on a block, that's also a good shout for those of you that are feeling really hip sensitive. We aren't going to be doing great big huge movements from here, but for the first part of this class, we tend to take a bit more time doing the intent setting and the breath work. So if you want to be supine for the first wee bit, go ahead and do that. In either your seated or your supine position, I want you to do a deep breath, but not ujjayi yet. So if you're brand new, ujjayi is when you create a constriction in the throat to get an audible whisper sound going with your breath. But I want you to make sure that isn't happening yet, but all you're doing is doing that gradual deepening of your breath. And sometimes, right at the start of the week, starting real slow is, I think, a really good way to go. We can explore how things are moving, how things are feeling. Then start to bring in that second layer. So we add in that ujjayi engagement in the throat as if you were whispering. So you get an audible component to both the inhale and the exhale. It's a little bit easier to create that sound on your exhalation, but it doesn't mean don't add it to the inhale. And use this to help get a feel for almost a more three-dimensional quality to your breath. And then close your eyes. So now that we've got the breathing bit, this is the time for you to bring your attention inwards. Now, over the course of the last few Mondays last year, I was really giving you more of an insight into the philosophy at the start of practice and to let you see how it is factored into a lot of the classes. So as you sit here or lay here, you are in your pose, you're in your asana. So you've done that part, tick. And the awareness and decisions that you make around being steady and comfortable in the pose fall under the umbrella of asana. When we add conscious breath work to that, then we're doing the pranayama element, the breath practice. By closing your eyes and being a bit more introspective, you're doing the fifth limb, which is pratyahara, sensory withdrawal. This one takes a lot of focus so that you are finding the discipline in pratyahara, that sensory withdrawal, not allowing yourself to be distracted. And a home practice with technology makes that harder. So even right now, if you're staring at the screen, knowing visually nothing's happening, break that connection and reinvest that energy elsewhere. Now, in my history of practicing yoga, it wasn't until I went to forest yoga that any other component was really added in. It was very much be in a pose, count to 5, no anatomical instruction given, no guidance given. And this is what makes some of the forest yoga cueing so different. We start to work in intent. So your intent moves into that next limb, a limb of concentration. So as we work this concentration, it is about how do you apply the intent to your pranayama, to the pose that you're doing. So your intent today is to do the poses and the breath work and our practices today in a way that brightens you up. So remaining vigilant if you're doing it in a way that has like a negative or slimy effect. So that's when you start competing with either other versions of yourself, versions of you in the future, versions of you in the past, but also versions of you that have never existed that you've made up in your mind. Like for me, it's like the really muscly one that's like perfect and doesn't have hip problems. But also, maybe you're competing with other people, even myself. So for example, I can get into poses really deep. You have no need of any of that. So can you work in your practice in a way that feels affirming and accepting instead of competing and abusing? So that's your extra piece. So it's that extra bit of work. And if that seems like a lot, it's because it is. And notice if in this picking up of this sixth limb, you've dropped pratyahara, the sensory focus, concentration, breath work, and steadiness in the pose. Make sure you still have those. Your pranayama, your breath work, is alternate nostril breathing. Take the left hand up and bend the index and middle finger in. If index, middle finger, this is kind of the more traditional way of working this pranayama. You can do thumb and index finger if that's easier to coordinate, or it's thumb, ring finger, index, middle are bent in. You will be closing off the left nostril, inhaling for 5, holding the breath for 20, that's quite a long count, and then exhaling through the left side for 10, inhaling left for 5, holding for 20, exhaling through the right 10. So working a ratio of 1, 4, and 2. You can still do this laying down on your back. If you're seated, use your right hand behind you to act as a kickstand. If you're on the block, you don't really need that because your arm would have to go much further back to get that support. Close off your left nostril with your thumb and exhale through the mouth until you're empty. Inhale through the right side for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath, closing the nostrils, holding for 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Exhale to left for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale through left for 5. So I'm not counting you this time. Lift the ribcage, hold the breath. Use thumb and ring finger to close the nostrils, holding for 20. Relax that left shoulder down. So yes, you have your hand up, but the shoulder itself does not need to be up. Stay focused and attentive, so you're flexing those concentration muscles, that 6-limb dharana. After you've held for 20, exhale through the right side for 10. Belly muscles are pulling in, but without allowing the chest to collapse forwards or the shoulders to roll forwards. Head stays lifted. Do one more like that. So that'll be inhale right, hold, exhale left. Close your eyes. So do this pranayama in a way that feels like it is building you up and brightening you up from the inside. This whole purpose of pranayama, without getting into it too much, you're making yourself a vessel for the energy you breathe in. So as we do these long holds, you're kind of letting it be there and disperse through your body a little bit more. So that's more from an energetic, those of you taking that biologically. Let's not get into biological parallels of energy work. When you're finished with that, release the hand down and take 3 full breaths with your eyes closed. So while the intent is to do this class in a way that brightens you up, you may have a specific way that you need to work this. It may be a pledge to yourself, it may be a mantra that you wish to use. I'm happy for you to use any tool that you require. There may even be specific types of poses that you need that focus in more than another person might. If you're laying on your back, roll to your left, come up from the ground. If you're sitting on a block, come off of the block, and you might need to take a slightly different seated position, so it might be a Baddha Konasana or go for a cross-legged. We're moving into a seated neck release. If you still feel like your back needs support, do this with your back flat against the wall, so that's head, shoulders, and butt. Take your left hand, turn it in towards your left hip, palm faces down, and then sit on that hand. If you get any discomfort in your shoulder, because it is an internal rotation, you can stick the fingertips to the floor at a straight arm, but don't let it move. Lean to the right, so you're leaning away from that left hand. So if your fingers are down, you're leaning away from it until there's some tension. If you're sitting on your hand, you're leaning until you feel a bit of a tugging on that left arm. Move your head back in space, and then soften right ear towards your right shoulder. So our first pose that isn't just sitting down, have you already ditched the breath work, the focus, especially if this is really growly and intense? Allow right ear to move to right shoulder. For this first round, instead of doing chin tucks, we will do those. I want you to angle your chin a little bit more upwards. If you want a wee bit more out of this, and really that's your choice, bring the right arm over and add weight rather than a pulling onto the side of your head. I like to hook my fingertips into the jaw when doing slight tuck chin, slight tilting of the chin up, and then almost pulling the jaw itself away from the neck. Ideally, you are not wrenching the head to the side. If that is too much, and it can be, start our practice, we've not really moved anything yet, Then take it easy, you don't need to do it right now. Hand might be able to stay on the side of the head for this next transition. Tilt the chin down towards your right collarbone. So the head itself isn't falling completely forwards, but the aim is to get the stretch coming into the back of the neck. I like to move my fingers, instead of from the jaw here, right back towards the occipital ridge, and then hooking the fingers in like little claws, like little Velcro hooks, and almost drawing on that. So I don't know about you, but I find my sitting time on review has gone up exponentially, and I find this part of my neck gets super, super growly towards the end of the day. Release that right arm down, tuck the chin straight down to your chest. Use your left hand and then lift your head up via your forehead so you're not straining your neck. Maintaining a steady breath, just get a feel for turning your head from side to side. So not necessarily going like smacking that head around, but just getting a glide from side to side. Doing a round of shoulder shrugs before we do the second side of neck release. Relax the arms down and make sure they're genuinely relaxed, not just kind of in a different shape from where they were. Deep breath in. Hold the breath. Bring your shoulders straight up, straight back. Squeeze them. Exhale, drag the shoulders down, but lift deliberately through the back of your skull. Inhale, spread into the upper back. Exhale, squeeze the middle part of your shoulders back. Squeeze a lot. Pull shoulders down. Inhale, spread into the back, palms face up. If you want a wee extra challenge, see if you can tilt your thumbs down towards the floor. Exhale, squeeze shoulder blades, elbows towards each other, drag shoulders down. Relax the arms, change the cross in your legs. Moving into neck release on the other side, right palm is turning in towards that right hip and going under the sit bone. Maybe you're getting your fingertips sticking to the mat if that is preferable. Take a deep breath in, lift the rib cage. Exhale, lean to the left, so you're leaning away from that right arm, and allow left ear to soften to the left. This first round is working on the chin slightly tilted up to stretch into the side of the throat, maybe even feeling those connections that come down towards the collarbone. If it's useful, left hand is coming up and over, fingertips hooking into the jaw itself if possible. If not, the weight of the arm might give you more than enough with what you're working. Now, shoulder growly on this side, just be very attentive. It can be very tempting in the name of healing to tolerate it being really uncomfortable. So if sitting on the hand doesn't work, stick the hand to the floor. There's a less complicated rotation. It's something that always has baffled me in the yoga world is the amount that people will put up with while telling themselves that because they're doing yoga, it must still be doing some good work. It's always baffled me. Stage 2, exhale, tuck the chin down towards your left collarbone. Ideally, the head hasn't dropped forwards, just change the angle. If you want to, move the hand around towards the occipital ridge, so where your skull meets your neck, and maybe hooking the fingers in. Even if doing this little sort of like pulling up motion with the fingers feels good, you can almost begin to massage going from the neck tissue up over the bones. Delicious. If it feels like it's too much, release the left arm down. If you're doing your breathing in a way that is making this strain and struggle, can you switch or modulate how you are doing deep breathing so it feels like it is brightening you up and doing the work from the inside rather than trying to get what's happening on the outside to hopefully sink in at some point and maybe eventually there's some yoga miracle. I've never seen a yoga miracle in my puff, and it's now 15 years, still waiting. Release that left hand down, tuck the chin to your chest. Use your right hand on your forehead and then lift your head up. Take a little bit of movement of the head and neck side to side. So exploring maybe those big muscles that are going from behind your ears down underneath your collarbones are moving a little bit easier. Hopefully they are. The next piece has a bit of a prerequisite. Some of you will have easy access in a cross-legged forward bend, but the specific that we're looking for is that you headbutt a block. Now, if you're thinking like, I'm not going to be able to headbutt a block, can you get that in more of a child's pose position so that you're coming down to headbutt a block. Probably. If you're thinking, oh my goodness, he's given two of the things I hate more than life itself, then maybe you're coming down onto the abdomen and setting the forehead down onto a block. If you don't have a block, but you've got a roll, we can use a roll. If you've got none of those things, you can use your hands in two fists. The aim is, so specific, before you face plant, the muscles just above your eyes, these are called frontalis. We are aiming to actually do a little bit of softening up of these muscles whilst in one of these poses. So whether it's cross-legged forward bend, child's pose, the aim is to bring some relief to these parts, but also take a wee bit of movement side to side in your neck. You're not trying to gouge them out, you're just rolling them a little bit side to side. So either cross-legged, child's pose, or if neither of those poses work well for you, go for more of a cobra and then bring the forehead down onto a block. I'm somewhat dreading the fact that this block is made of wood. So choose something. If cross-legged you feel like your back is really rounding to get access to that, maybe the child's pose will feel better, usually more accessible. Now that you're there, take a wee bit of time to navigate where that block needs to be so that the back of your neck feels long rather than rounded, and you feel a little bit of pressure just shy of an inch above your eyebrows. Close your eyes, focus your ujjayi breathing. Now with the eyes closed, you're not straining them, you're not trying to slam them shut. They're just gently lidded. Begin to take a little bit of movement side to side, almost going towards the outer edge of your eyebrow. And this gentle movement, your aim is to let the neck feel as relaxed as possible. I prefer, when doing neck stuff, to do ujjayi breathing through the mouth, because my jaw tends to overload in a lot of different occasions. So if you want to do that here, ujjayi through the mouth will remove the obstacle of the jaw. Use your arms to press into the floor, bring yourself up towards seated. Go ahead and move that block out of the way. The pose you're about to do is essentially, if you've done loads of classes with me, you know that we do loads of lunges. This next pose really is just a lunge on the back, but depending on how things are going, it might need to work a little bit differently. What I've been seeing a lot recently is a lot of people here, this isn't really the lunge position, so I would rather that this left leg was flat on the ground so that you can get the angle of the knee to about 90 degrees. Yeah, it's going to press your hamstrings a bit more, so it might look more like this. I would prefer to see this creature than this creature. And the aim is to gradually work on straightening that other leg and leveling the hips. So we're going to be here for a little bit. If you know that you need to use a strap or anything like that to get a hold of that foot, or a towel or something, because grip is an issue, do what you need to grab that. I just showed you can do it as a thigh hold and still get everything you need to get out of this. Okay, come down onto your back. Bring your left knee into your chest. And your aim is to get that left knee and thigh just sitting to the outside of your ribs. Right foot is flat for now. If you're able to hold on to your foot, hold the pinky edge of the foot. This is going to stop the ankle twisting up anywhere. Stick your butt out so you feel the pelvis is down, the top, so where your spine meets your pelvis, that's your sacrum, so you feel your sacrum is down rather than curling up. And then see if straightening that right leg forwards feels good. Sometimes once you've taken that right leg forwards, turning it in and out a little bit can help free up some of that growl in the front of that thigh. Left hip loves to hike up towards the left low ribs. Deliberately feel for sliding your left sit bone towards the front of your mat. Tuck your chin to help lengthen the back of the neck. A nice little move if you want to do it, because obviously if we were in studio we'd be doing hands-on assists and stuff, but it's not going to happen for a while. Use your thumb and index finger behind your occipital ridge so your head is in your open palm, and pull your skull to the back of the mat. It should feel like your chins have tucked massively. Chins plural? I think I'm speaking from personal experience. That's why I have a beard. It hides them. make this a wee bit more active. So I know we usually do more restorative holds at the start of this class, but press that left foot up into your hand and relax your left shoulder. If you're doing the forearm hold, you can always clasp hands, so you're getting a wee bit of ease. Inhale, bend that left leg a little bit more, and then set the foot down. Second side. Exhale, bring that right knee up. So pelvis loves to curl off the floor here. Press it down. Right hand is coming up, maybe to hold the outside edge of the foot, or you can wrap the forearm around that thigh and get a good grip there. Perhaps working on extending that left leg, aiming that the shin is completely perpendicular to the floor. If the heel is coming down, it is a big ask, because we're looking for a certain amount of quadricep extension plus hamstring pliability. So if it's not quite there, we're looking for where it is rather than completely foot to pelvis. Once you're there, smooth out your breathing. Maybe it would feel good to do that neck reset here. So at this point, doing this in a way that feels good rather than aggravating, we're not looking to massively challenge things at this point. If it feels good to do a little bit of leg rotation on that left leg, turning the leg in and out. So if hip flexors are an area that frequently gets super grabby with you, this can feel really good. Inhale, relax that right leg, set both feet to the floor. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Feet are flat, but they are a comfortable distance away from you. If you're not sure what that is, simply pick the legs up and relax them back down. So you're not doing bridge, it's just a simple, easy leg position. With the elbows, bring them in close to the sides of your head and reach the elbows towards the ceiling. So we're creating that wrapped shoulder position. Exhale, curl your head and shoulders up from the mat. So nice and simple. With the head and shoulders up, see if you can lift off of shoulder blades, but without doing any action of curled tailbone up. So we want the pelvis to feel like it is down, the low back is at its natural curve. We're looking to get the shoulder blades to lift up. If you're wondering what is happening in this abdominal, this is it. This is what we're doing. This is the abdominal. So you should be able to almost test, like the muscles around the low ribs should feel like they're definitely firing up. Every exhale, without pushing your back down, contract by pulling the belly button down towards the ground. So it's a relatively small action. So it's a big action, but it's a small movement. We're not moving anything. We're not moving any bones. It should start to feel a little bit more challenging. Head and shoulders are going to stay at this vantage. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bring the left knee up and endeavor to squeeze your left knee to your left elbow, but don't move your elbow. Inhale, release the left leg down. Exhale, lift the right knee. Endeavor to squeeze the right knee towards your right elbow, but don't move your elbow. If your butt is curling off the ground, put your butt down. Inhale, set that foot down. So we're going to need these later. Exhale, squeeze left knee towards left elbow. Inhale, set the foot down. Exhale, right knee towards right elbow. Inhale, set that foot down. Now your challenge is to get both. Exhale, bring both knees up. Don't use momentum. Instead, try and get your knees into your armpits. Inhale, release the legs down, toes tap the floor. Exhale, bring the legs in, squeeze the knees towards your underarms. Inhale, feet tap down. So it's like an active dead bug. Exhale, bring the knees in, knees are coming in towards underarms. Inhale, set the feet down, set the head down. Roll to your left hand side, use your arms to come up from the mat. Left hand on the side of the head, lift your head up so you're not straining your neck. Scooch towards the back of your yoga mat. So moon salutation is a flow that I love to do for this class because it feels very cyclical. It starts from a kneeling position and moves into child's pose. It is your preference whether you're doing this as a knees wide position, that might help you with that forward movement. Some of you may prefer more knees together and going forwards. If your knees don't appreciate child's pose, then you might find sitting on a block is a preferred option because the knees aren't going to be bending as far. If that still doesn't work, this requires a little bit more of like a rock and roll scenario. You're doing more of a cross-legged and then rolling forwards to things like tabletop. So it's a little bit of modulation. If it just doesn't work, if child's pose doesn't work for you, then you might go from kneeling up and then come down into tabletop. So it's really shifting into more of a problem solving if kneeling isn't a great pose for you. So sitting back onto your hips or cross-legged, whichever one is preferable, lift up through the back of your skull. Reorient the shoulders by drawing the shoulders down, palms up, and then close your eyes. Start to deepen your breath. So bring back that expansive ujjayi. Take a moment to reconnect to your intent. So doing this in a way that brightens you up. If you know that flow stuff sometimes challenges you or you get really growly, this isn't about perfection. It's not a performance. It never is. So if you make a mistake, have the grace to move past it. It's not a big deal. Inhale. Reach the arms up. Lift the rib cage up away from pelvis. Child's pose or forward bend. Exhale. Hands come down. Slide them forwards, resting the forehead down. Tabletop. Inhale. Move your shoulders above the wrist. So it's a wee bit of a longer tabletop from that child's pose. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Tuck the toes. Lift the knees up. I recommend legs bent initially as we navigate this first round. Cat. Inhale, set the knees down, lift skull, lift sit bones, shoulders draw down away from the ears. Child's pose. Exhale, press the hips back. Now you can work this actively, doing more of a push with the hands, or it might be more of an elbows down, head down, softening kind of a day. Inhale, walk the hands back in or glide them back in. That's a bit more of an abdominal. Bring the arms up. Exhale, bring hands together at chest. So this time we're going to move and hold each of these stages so we get a feel for each one. Inhale, bring the arms up. Well, not all of the stages. Child's pose or cross-legged forward bend. Exhale, go forwards. For this one, decide if it is an active day, pressing and trying to stick your butt out a wee bit, maybe letting the head rest down. If you've got the knees together, you are given a useful opportunity to breathe into the abdomen to feel the back expanding. I prefer this one personally to be a bit more active. So feeling for that low spinal unravel, it can feel good from there. Inhale, shift forwards into more of a tabletop. Now, shoulder growly, we're going to be in down dog for a few breaths. If dolphin is a better support because you can brace with your arms, then maybe dolphin is your option instead of down dog. Exhale, tuck toes, lift the knees up. In this down dog, it's definitely active. Arms are pushing the pelvis towards the back of the mat. Start to alternate bending and straightening the legs. Shoulder growly, dolphin is the same pose on the elbows, and you can still get that bending and straightening of the legs to help navigate into the low body. I would say for the other flows, as we start to move more dynamically, dolphin might be useful, but down dog is easier to travel from. Cat. Inhale, set your knees down. If you were on your elbows, come back up onto your hands. Then moving through a few rounds of cat undulations. Inhale, lift the skull, lift the sit bones, squeeze your arms towards your legs. Exhale, tuck tailbone down, push into your hands. If your knees are opening out, maintain a wee bit of connection to your inner thighs. Inhale, lift skull, lift sit bones. Exhale, push the floor away, round into the back. Head and neck is lowering. Inhale, scoop the chest forward, squeeze your arms towards your legs. Sit bones are lifting. Exhale, round into the back, push the floor away. Inhale, scoop chest forwards. Now this time, pressing into child's pose. Not a long hold here. Exhale, press back. We've already held one time on this round. Inhale, either walk or slide the hands back in, bring the arms up. Exhale, bring hands together at chest. So moving this series, one breath per movement for a few rounds. Inhale, reach up. Child's pose or cross-legged forward bend. Tabletop. Inhale, shoulders above wrists. Downward facing dog. Exhale, press the hips up. Cat. Inhale, knees go down, lift skulls, lift sit bones. I'm assuming there's more than one of you doing this, maybe it's skulls. Child's pose, exhale. Inhale, slide the arms back in, bring the arms up. Exhale, hands together at chest. Inhale, reach up. Child's pose or cross-legged forward bend. Exhale. Tabletop, inhale, shoulders above wrists. Downward facing dog. Exhale, tuck toes, lift knees. Cat, inhale, knees down, lift skull, lift sit bones. Exhale, press the hips back. Inhale, pull the arms back in, bring the arms up. Exhale, hands together at chest. This time, things are going to change. Inhale, reach the arms up. Child's pose or cross-legged forward bend. Exhale. Inhale, move the shoulders above wrists. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Lift the left leg, but left toes point straight down. Shift the weight towards that right leg, shoulder growly. Because we're going to be here for a bit, you're welcome to take this down onto elbows if that feels like a better base for you, because we're going to be here for a little bit. So toes are deliberately pointing down, hips are level. So tendency is to wing that left side of the pelvis up. I want you to keep it pretty level. Now stay here. Exhale, turn the left toes out and lift the leg up. So you might find the left buttock lifts a little bit in relation to the right, but don't topple the pelvis over. Hips stay somewhat level. Hopefully feeling some of those low buttock muscles around the outside of the sit bone. Similar to the abdominal we did at the start, you can do this on your elbows. Exhale, squeeze the left knee towards your left arm without rounding your upper back. So scoop your chest forwards, think left knee to arm. Inhale, lift that leg up. Exhale, step the left foot outside of your left hand for lunge. So dolphin people, find a way to get there. It's not easy or really possible to get there from dolphin. Hands are down. Take a wee bit of movement through that right heel forwards and back. And then set the right knee down. This pose loves to topple to the side, and it usually is right hip that buckles down. Lift through the front of your right hip, lower the left sit bone, and then begin to articulate the chest forwards. Think of the work you've been doing in the neck. So in this pose, it is a relaxed neck, it's not a dropped neck. When I was teaching in Greece, they referred to it as dead neck. I like that. So this is dead neck, where the head's down. You're thinking about what the optimal spinal position would be if you were standing up. So lengthen the back of the skull, tuck the chin. If you're able to preserve that while navigating further, perhaps starting to come down to the elbows. I think the challenge of trying to get your left elbow down without compromising the right side too much is a good challenge. If you get the elbows down, but the back is rounded to accommodate it, I would say come up a wee bit. I think it's more useful to be further up and maintain this posture building into the upper back than trying to get really low just to be able to tick the box of elbows down. So it's that thing of, does this brighten you up, or is it actually rounding, everything's kind of getting slimy and sludgy and your back's going to be really unhappy about it later, just so you could say that you got your elbows down. I don't know about you, but I try not to. Do you ask your friends if they can get their elbows down, and if they can't, you don't talk to them anymore? Hopefully not. Although it's usually a good sign of dedication and loyalty. Anyway, tuck your right toes. Inhale, go back to down dog. Oh, not so easy when that leg is basically half asleep. Inhale, lift the right leg, right toes point down. Remember, if wrists are getting growly, because even that lunge is a lot of wrists, feel free to take that to the elbows. Yeah, it's a different pose. I guarantee your legs are still going to get exactly what they need out of it. Hips are level. So think about almost spinning the right knee so it definitely points down. Toes are sometimes a good indicator of that. Stage 2, exhale, rotate that leg out to the side and focus on lifting through the upper outer thigh. If your left hip is collapsing, left side of pelvis will probably feel like it's close to your left ribs. Move it away from there. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring the right knee towards your right upper arm. So shifting the skull forwards, trying to get that knee to touch the arm. Inhale, lift. Exhale, knees coming towards the arms, stepping into the lunge. So if you were doing it in dolphin, you do need to come up onto your hands. Right foot steps outside the right hand. Use your left toes to take a wee bit of movement forwards and back. So foot pliability is I think, an underrated skill. Then once you feel like it's eased the hips a wee bit, set the left knee down. Inhale, unfurl the mid to upper back and neck. So it feels like everything is scooping forwards rather than overly flexing. Perhaps starting to take the right elbow down. A useful thing to do, if you're trying to get your elbows down but haven't moved your hands, it's all going to be back rounding. If you take your right arm forwards and try and get the elbow down, usually there's less rounding. Now, it doesn't mean it'll be successful. If you're thinking, I'll do what he said, it sounds like it's a winner, it's deeper, may not be a winner though. Maintain that scooping forwards in the chest, push down into your feet. So ideally this is active. And somebody in like a different class I was teaching yesterday asked me like, oh, I find poses really easy, I just flop into them. And I was just like, don't flop into them. This should still maintain some ability to be active. Now I'm not saying that every practice should be like that. I don't do it in my practice. My poses are usually pretty switched on. Long holds for me with slightly mobile joints is a disaster. It's the worst thing. I basically feel like I'm going to dislocate everything if I practice like that. Inhale, come up onto your hands, downward facing dog. Exhale, push back. Woo-hoo-hoo. Cat. Inhale, set the knees down, lift skull, lift sit bones. Now, if you just did like the sort of L'Oreal head swing, like it's less than that. It's just a wee lift there. Exhale, press the hips back. I'm probably just jealous I don't have long hair. Inhale, slide the hands back, bring your arms up. Exhale, hands come together at chest. Okay, reach your left arm forwards and your right arm is going to go up. As your right arm goes up, I want you to almost look towards your pinky finger of the right hand, but not the thumb. So just pinky finger. Inhale, take the right arm forwards, take the left arm up. Exhale, look a little bit towards that hand. Inhale, bring the arms forwards, relax them down. Okay, you might be thinking, what on earth was that? You're going to use it. Inhale, bring the arms up. Coming soon to a theatre near you. Child's pose. Exhale, or not, as cinemas are probably shut. Tabletop. Inhale, move shoulders above wrists. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Inhale, lift your left leg high. Lunge. Exhale, step your left foot outside your left hand, now pause. Right knee is lifted, right hand is down. Inhale, reach your left arm forwards. Look towards the pinky finger to help unfurl the upper back, but be honest, have you done the head whip? Do less of that, but more lengthening. If your legs are killing you, go ahead and put the right knee down, but the angle will probably change a bit further up rather than here where everything is a little bit longer. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring your left hand down. Set your right knee down momentarily while we assemble the next part of this. Open your right arm out to the right. So you need to make sure there's definitely weight in that left foot. The right shoulder loves to sit forwards in the shoulder joint. I'm going to turn side on. It loves to do this in the shoulder. I want you to draw your right shoulder blade back so it feels like it's sitting in the middle of the socket. So we've been speaking about this really well. So you can roll it to the front of the socket, middle, and you can kind of squeeze it back. I don't want you to squeeze it back. It wants to sit slap bang in the middle. Okay, now do not move your shoulder. Inhale, open your ribs to the right. So you're turning your chest. Now, your legs will have gotten you stuck. If your shoulder has slipped back forwards, go ahead and dial it down a bit. Tuck your right toes and set the back heel down like Warrior 2. It might help you open your chest to the side. Suddenly, extended warrior variation is exhausting. Inhale, push into the feet, scoop chest forwards. Now you did this pose earlier. Oh my God, it's in the dead bug family. Love spotting similarities in poses. Don't know about you. Good thing for your spare time when you're collecting hair to make a new roll. Exhale, bring the right hand down. Set your right knee down. Step your left leg back. Come onto all fours, so we're not doing cat. Inhale, move forwards into a half plank. Knees are down. So in half plank, it usually starts to look a bit like up dog. Pull your pubic bone away from the floor, stick your butt out, and focus on getting the chest, pelvis, and thighs in a straight line. Your focus point isn't straight down. It's actually a wee bit in front of you. Deep breath in. Keep looking forwards. Exhale, bend the elbows. Elbows pull towards the back of the room. Head isn't dropping as you lower down. Low cobra. Prop up on your elbows. Tuck your tootsies. Turn your knees in towards each other. So usually this is really a turned out position when people get into it. It's the frequent default. Endeavour to turn the knees in so that when you bend the legs, your heels are coming straight towards your butt and not the other buttock. From this place, push into your left forearm. Exhale, reach the right hand back and grab your right ankle. If you can't reach, you can turn the chest more, get it, and then start to bring it back. If it definitely isn't working, squeeze the heel towards the butt, pull with your arms like cobra, and don't worry about reaching it. But for sure you could use a strap, a dog lead, an extension cord, not plugged in, to get a hold of that foot. Knee sensitive. Push away with the shin, so you feel the angle of the knee is less severe. And if you do the action tuck tailbone, it should spice things up and give you the quad stretch. Now, if you know that your hips love to go into these like turned out positions, has the right inner thigh become the part that's on the floor? So my bar aficionados, you need to get slap bang on top of that right quadricep. Inhale, change legs, so swap that back around to the front. Exhale, bring the left heel to your butt, turning the chest to reach back for that foot and easing this in. So for those of you that know, like seated virasanas and things like that are like a no-go, but this works, start doing this pose daily. That's right. Those of you that heard that as, he said once a month, daily, or once a year. Do you brush your teeth once a month, once a year? Don't answer that. Right, now push the left leg away and tuck the elbow down. Do you leave it all for the dental hygienist every 6 months? I certainly hope not. So we're still in that heel to butt. Those of you that have let go of it and are having a wee break, get a hold of that. Tuck the tailbone down to help sweeten the deal. Inhale, release that left leg, downward facing dog for more fun and gaze. Inhale, lift the right leg. So your call if you're doing toes pointing down or toes very slightly turned out. Lunge. Exhale, step that right foot outside your right hand. Hands are underneath your shoulders if you need to move them. Left knee is lifted. Push the floor away. Inhale, reach your right arm forwards. Oh wait, no, this doesn't feel... No, it's correct. Right arm forwards. Look towards the pinky finger. If necessary, set the left knee down, but the angle will somewhat shift upwards. Shoulder growly, if this is the shoulder, go for that hand on the knee if that is what is feeling necessary. So only if you've got shoulder stuff. If you don't have shoulder stuff, don't worry about it. If you can see the floor, then you're definitely not looking at your right hand. So look at your hand. If you found it in the street, you would go, that's my right hand, what's it doing here? Exhale, set your right hand down, set your left knee down. Open your left arm out to the left, look at your arm, specifically where it meets your shoulder, and feel for drawing the shoulder back. Deliberately roll it to the front of the joint, so poke it forwards. So imagine you were saying to your friends, do you want to see my shoulder joint? And then draw it back. I think you can tell I have a very difficult relationship with friends. Draw that left shoulder back. Inhale, open the left ribs to the side. So the chest is turning rather than the arm arbitrarily flinging around the corner. Inhale, tuck the left toes and set the left heel down parallel to the back of the mat. So usually this pose is come into from a warrior two coming down. I really like what it does for the hips when you come in from this angle. Inhale, push into your right hand, right foot, and roll the left ribs open. Exhale, bring your left hand down, set the left knee down, step the feet back. Inhale, shift forwards into that half plank. Look a little bit forward so we're getting that really strong upper back and neck position. Exhale, bend elbows and lower down. Prop up on the elbows. Take the feet wider than your yoga mat and explore. You're basically doing straddle whilst in low cobra, but tuck your toes. Now hip flexor people, the hip flexors might be going growly. If they are, go less wide. Tuck the toes, see if you can lift the knees, but tuck your tailbone. If that's not working for the feet, you're endeavoring to get the pinky toenails to touch the floor. Inhale, pull with the arms, lift the elbows. Back sensitive, take the arms further forwards. So it's back bend with a hip thing. Actively tuck tailbone towards your heels now, especially knee sensitive. That last little bit of quad engagement that you can get by pushing into the top of the feet, get it. If you're doing toes tuck, it's a wee bit of a stronger drive. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower down. Hands come under shoulders, bring the feet back into the center and press back into downward facing dog. Cat. Inhale, knees go down, lift skull, lift sit bones. Child's pose. Exhale, press the hips back. Inhale, slide the arms back in towards you, bring the arms up. Exhale, bring hands together at chest. We're not going to use a flow to designate the next part, but you're going to be stepping into a straddle forward bend. So really, whichever way you need to be so that you can still see cameras and things like that. Step the left foot and the right foot so they are parallel to one another. So you can get legs, well, but 3 to 4 feet apart. And I would say 3 feet is going to be a good range. Now instead of having your hands under here, get the hands so they're under your shoulders and go for hands down. I would rather see bent legs and a long back than straight legs and a super rounded back with where we're moving. So allow yourself to bend the legs so that this actually feels okay. Take the left hand down directly underneath you and open the right arm out to the right. Before you do anything, sense where your right ribs are in relation to your right hip. When I see people do this move, it's usually a bit of a scrunch of right ribs to hip. Pelvis shouldn't move, it should feel like it's an active rotation. Inhale, turn the right ribs up towards the ceiling, but the lengths of the back are still long. Exhale, bring that down. Inhale, open up, right arm lifts to the right. Exhale, bring that down. Inhale, open the right ribs to the right. Exhale, bring that down. Walk your hands so they are in front of your left foot. Exhale, fold in towards your left leg. So maybe legs are bending a wee bit more. Do relax the neck. Now, if you know straddle forward bends are a tough deal for you, they really, really are. They require so much patience and persistence. It's almost like it was put in your body for you to learn that. Oh my God, I sound like my mum. Anyway, inhale, bring your hands under your shoulders. Very much my mum's philosophy, what's for you won't go by you. Open your left arm out to the left, right hand underneath the right shoulder or to the center of the mat. Now, has that left shoulder already slammed around? Get the shoulder sitting really integral, it's the ribs that move. Inhale, open the left ribs up to the side. Exhale, bring the arm down so the hand touches the floor. Inhale, open that left arm up to the side. Exhale, bring that down. Inhale, open the left arm up to the side. Exhale, bring the arm down. Take the hands in front of your right foot, so the hands are walking over to the side, and ease in towards that leg. Watch it isn't twisting. See if you can get both collarbones coming in towards the leg at the same angle. Inhale, walk the hands back under the shoulders. Start to step the feet in and then come down to the mat. So moving towards cross-legged. This next pose has an opportunity to get into some of the sticky stuff around your shoulder blades. So you're looking at lats and serratus on this side. To get a wee bit extra out of this, if you've done like any of my Mayo classes, rolling up your mat can give you a little object to kind of press into. It needs to have about just over 1 centimeter of thickness to it when you push down on it. So it might be a rolled up mat, maybe a rolled up towel. It's not going to be a roll or a block. Let me show you this pose first. So it starts off laying on the side. You might be using something like this to help get the head and neck down. Sometimes it feels good to do this with the arm bent, so it's a wee bit more tricep, but also where the lats are sticking to your upper arm. This top leg is going to do some target practice. Knee coming up towards the armpit. Oh my gosh, you've already done this so many times. And then casual. Alright? Doesn't this feel like I should be selling you yogurt or something? Anyway, lie down on your left side. Left shoulder is on the ground. You're almost thinking, can you almost vacuum pack that left armpit to the mat? Maybe it'll feel better to go left arm overhead. I like this rolled up mat under there because it actually massages into some of those really sticky bits with every round of breath. Legs are bent initially. This will make the balance easier. Take your right arm straight up as if you were asking a question. Excuse me. Exhale, bring your right knee up and towards your right armpit. Now, has your pelvis curled under, or can you keep the pelvis somewhat neutral? That right hand is going to hold the outside edge of the foot, and it might be a bit like dead bug. It may be a bit further. It may be a bit further still. If today feels like a stronger balance day, work the left leg straight and see how that feels. Now, if holding the foot is difficult, you can hold around the shin, not the shin, the back of the knee, like we did at the start, and work that quadricep extension. So you can extend that leg. Now come back to focus, deep breathing, and steadiness. Are you doing the pose in a way that brightens you up, or is it all snarl and growl? This one I always get somewhat hysterical because I start rolling around all over the place. I'm like, oh look, I've never done core work. Inhale, release that leg, swap it around to the other side. So either roll around, I'm turning around so I can still face you rather than you seeing my butt for the whole thing, as much fun as that would be. So either down on a straight right arm or bending the elbow, but seeing if you can do any little maneuvers to help that underarm come down to the floor. Sometimes I even need to pull on the tissue a little bit to get things moving. Reach the left arm up without moving your pelvis. Exhale, bring that left knee up. So thinking hip flexion towards the armpit, holding the foot around the back of the knee, and start to work that leg straighter. Maybe you can get a hold of the foot. If balance feels steady, you're going for a straighter right leg. Now, P.S., one good thing to know about this pose, if your leg is straight, there is technically, other than like gravity and stuff like that, nothing stopping you from being able to do a pose like this standing up. Not right now though, we're busy, we've got stuff on. We're all busy people. But later, totally. If you're thinking, ugh, I can't be bothered doing this standing up, take a photo, turn it round, Photoshop the floor under your feet, bingo! So we're looking for a little bit of that quadricep extension, a little bit of hamstring and hip work, following the lines that we've been working so far today. Alright, now bend that top leg. Now you're already pretty much on your side. It's not going to take much for you to come down onto your back. Bring yourself down. Your next pose is Shavasana. So if you wish to take any props or anything to get yourself warmer, grab those. If you know that you like legs up the wall, do that, but with the heels on the wall and about 3 to 4 inches between your butt and the wall, just so the hamstrings aren't overloading too much, or the hips. If after a hip opening you prefer to lay on your abdomen, you're very welcome to do that. So choose something where you can be comfortable and set that as your priority. So coming back to the conversation we had at the start, if doing Shavasana laying on the back with no props, like full-on austerity Shavasana, is uncomfortable but you're doing it because you've been told it's the thing to do, I would say choose your personal comfort so that Shavasana isn't just about being uncomfortable. It allows you to do that work of going inwards and exploring other things than constant discomfort. begin to deepen your breath. Take a little bit of movement into your fingers, your toes, your wrists. If you're on your back, bring the knees in towards the chest, but go for a knees wide position. If you're laying on your abdomen, pressing back into more of a knees wide child's pose. Maybe not knees wild. From where you are, make your way towards a seated position, coming up with your neck relaxed, and choose a comfortable seat. So if at the start you were using a block to sit on, it might still feel good to use that just now. From this place, in your seated position, stack your left palm atop the right, so as if you're holding like a little cup of tea or something like that. Let your shoulders relax and lean your skull back. With your eyes closed, make your breathing easy. So not full ujjayi, just an easy and full breath. Let your physical focus be towards the lower abdomen. So almost as if the cupped hands are the sort of symbolic focal point. So we've done the asana. We've been doing pranayama. We've done the pratyahara, that sensory focus, and still doing it. And we've done the dhyana, that concentration. And the next stepping stone is meditation. And that can be really challenging, but know that all of the things that we've been doing are preparing you for that. So I'm hoping at some other point today, you're able to find a moment of quiet and stillness. And it doesn't need to be in isolation. It can be allowing yourself to simply take in and enjoy a moment in nature, or a moment of your own work, or even cooking, doing something that you enjoy, but letting your focus shift in a different way. Bring your hands together at chest. Take a very deep breath in. Exhale, bow forwards. Namaste.